A major new development in a News4Jax I-Team investigation of this former orthopedic surgeon, Dr. David Heekin. He is at the center of malpractice lawsuits. Plaintiffs say for years the doctor was slurring his words and behaving erratically in the operating room, but was still allowed to operate. A judge found the plaintiffs have submitted enough evidence that could allow a jury to conclude that top executives at Ascension St. Vincent's Hospital were, quote, grossly negligent for failing to stop Dr. Heekin from performing surgery.
As the I-Team has been reporting, more than 400 former patients are accusing him of operating while impaired by this progressive neurological condition that causes him to lose his balance and impulse control and slur his speech. News4Jax I-Team investigator Ann Maxwell joining us tonight with this update. Ann.
Joy, the judge's order hones in on what plaintiffs claim St. Vincent's chief medical officer and another top official there knew about Dr. Heekin's conduct and when they knew it. The judge found that plaintiffs identified evidence that St. Vincent's leaders knew the doctor posed a risk to patients. If a jury ultimately determines that high-ranking employees at St. Vincent's acted with gross negligence, it could mean serious financial consequences for St. Vincent's. According to Circuit Court Judge Bruce Anderson, plaintiffs submitted evidence supporting their position that St. Vincent's chief medical officer, Dr. Jeff Matheson, and senior vice president Tom Van Osdol, who likened his role to that of president and CEO, should have stopped Dr. David Heekin from performing surgery. The judge cites Dr. Heekin's worsening physical condition and patient outcomes that began in 2016, writing St. Vincent's failure to stop him was so reckless it amounts to conscious disregard or indifference to the life and safety of their patients and gross negligence. Because of that, the judge says plaintiffs can now seek punitive damages. Shannon Schott is an attorney not affiliated with the cases against Dr. Heekin and St. Vincent's.
So punitive damages translate to mean punishment. There is not a limit to how much a plaintiff can ask for.
Plaintiffs have submitted hundreds of pages of evidence, including the testimony of a nurse who said she went to upper management to raise concerns about Dr. Heekin and patient safety at least 15 times. An independent orthopedic surgeon testified a pattern of poor outcomes from Dr. Heekin's surgeries showed, quote, a lack of competence far beyond routine complications. Judge Anderson notes plaintiff's evidence shows that in September of 2018, it was reported to Matheson that Dr. Heekin was slurring his speech and screaming at nurses and an injured patient. His response to the patient's family, Dr. Heekin was just passionate and had a speech impediment. In the following weeks, it was reported to Matheson Dr. Heekin had crashed his car in the hospital parking lot, showed up to perform surgery on a weekend when none were scheduled, and appeared to have soiled himself in an airport. During that time period, plaintiffs say Dr. Heekin put in components for hip and knee replacements incorrectly, and that his patient Cindy Bonk died after a femur fracture during a hip replacement. Anthony Bonk is her widower.
I just know that I lost a wife, a good friend for 42 years.
After that, Dr. Heekin continued to perform surgeries for more than a year. Plaintiffs say St. Vincent's senior vice president Van Osdol received this text message in January 2020 from a doctor saying he was seeing a large uptake of severe complications from Dr. Heekin that would leave patients with above-knee amputations. He went on to say he would need to stop seeing Dr. Heekin's patients because he couldn't take care of them all. Bonk says he finds it disturbing that leaders at St. Vincent's who were reportedly told about issues with Dr. Heekin are still there.
Doctors take this code of ethics. Why doesn't the administration do the same thing?
St. Vincent's had argued punitive damages should not be allowed because the plaintiffs had declined their offer to go through arbitration, and despite their titles, Matheson and Van Osdol were middle managers. The judge rejected both of those arguments. St. Vincent's also argued it's not liable for punitive damages because it made efforts to have Dr. Heekin monitored during surgeries and to enact a medical staff performance review committee. They also note Dr. Heekin had been cleared to operate by an independent physician. The judge said a jury may agree with those arguments, but there's enough evidence for punitive damages to be considered. And neither Matheson nor Van Osdol have been implicated in any misconduct related to complaints against Dr. Heekin. An attorney for St. Vincent's declined to comment on the judge's order tonight. From the studio, Ann Maxwell, Channel 4, the local station.